Hello, America and the world. Welcome to another episode of Life After Lockup. This is a program that is designed to show you, the public, another side of the criminal justice system. This program has a lot of guests on it, some that have been incarcerated, some that have not been, some that are just a part of the criminal justice system. And we just like to show you another side of that. I want to also remind you to always be on the lookout for some things that we're doing in the community. I want to remind you of this is the Lifesaver class every Tuesday morning at Christ Temple at 11:30 to 12:30. If you have any life controlling issues, come out and join that Lifesaver class. At the end of 8 weeks, you get a certificate of completion to showing that you have gone through the 8 weeks. We also want to remind you of the ex-offender support group every first Monday at 5:30 to 6:30 at the W.C. Young Community Center. That's every one of you that might be ex-offenders. If you have relatives that might be incarcerated, come out and we give you some kind of support and some kind of help as to how to deal with your incarcerated loved ones. I also want to remind you we have things for men and women and married couples, and our new venture. Very excited about it. It's called Teen Ease Night. This is for teenagers from 13 to 19. We meet at the Community Kitchen on Jefferson Street, right across from Allen Autos, every second and fourth Monday. Every second and fourth Monday from 5 to 8. Food, fun, and fellowship, and we'll sneak some knowledge in there for you every now and then. So come out, and if you have any questions concerning any of those things, 270-575-3823, or you can visit us, email us at lifecommunities@bellsouth.net. That's lifecommunities@bellsouth.net, 270-575-3823. Also, now you can watch any of these Life After Lockup programs on Paducah2.org. Click on view videos and scan down to Life After Lockup. Very excited about this show today. This young man is not an ex-offender. I want to make that let's make that perfectly clear. He is not an ex-offender, but he worked in the juvenile detention center, and we want to get some information from him about his thoughts on what he experienced there. I want to welcome to the program Brother Alan Jeter.
How you
God
doing,
bless
sir?
you, man. I'm doing marvelous, man. Good to have you today.
All right.
And I'm excited about this program. Now, just a little bit about you. You are a retired military person.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. I retired. Well, I came into the military in 1984.
Okay.
And I did 20 years and retired in 2004, and it's been great.
Oh,
been
man.
Great.
So retirement
Awesome.
is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Don't get too excited because I don't like it. I still got to work, so you know. But anyway, now listen. What you're here for today, because we've never actually gone into the area of the juvenile detention center, and my concern, now just as a personal concern, is how well they are doing with our juveniles, and as far as restructuring them, keeping them out of prison. Now, my thoughts. Now, this is just my thoughts. I feel like that usually the juvenile detention center is just a holding place until prison comes, because it doesn't really deter them. It basically prepares them for prison. That's my take. It prepares them for prison, because a lot of them, from my own personal research, a lot of them that go to the juvenile detention center end up going to prison. Now you work there. I've only been there to visit and things of that nature, and I see what they go through and everything. Some of them, because I don't see everything because I'm only there a short period of time. But you were there, you worked there. Can you remember the actual time that you was there?
Well, I worked there from July 2007 until January 2008. And it's great. It's a funny thing that you said about the restructuring their minds and how their attitude is, because when I went through the academy up there in Richmond, Kentucky, through training, they used to say, well, you know, yes, they only kids, but, you know, they criminals. And I used to say, well, you know, yeah, they did some crimes, okay, but they only kids.
Right.
You know,
right.
Their minds and their bodies have not even matured into what they're going to be.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
a lot of juveniles has, did some things. I done did some things when
Right.
I was a juvenile, that I was caught in some things I didn't get caught
Okay,
with.
right, all of
But,
us.
the thing I'm trying to make is we got to look at them being juveniles because we don't know what they're going to be.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
when they were saying that, that really bothered me.
Okay. Just in the academy part, just the
Yeah,
training part.
just the training, and it got even more animated when we got back to the detention center, and we went through classes and meetings about that. Well, they used to say, well, y'all need to know that we got murderers, we got rapists in here, and I was like, yeah, they are that, but what made them that?
Right.
Because we can go with a person in prison, and they have pretty much made their bed and they laid in it. But a juvenile, you're looking at kids that's 13, 14 years old, and their minds still haven't been matured yet.
Exactly.
We got to get to the meat.
Okay,
Get to the meat of
okay.
the problem.
Okay.
And that's what I don't see. I didn't
okay.
see when I was there.
Okay,
They
now-
had counselors there, but they was only there once or twice a week.
Okay. Now, your position. What actually was your position? What was your position? What were your responsibilities as you went in there?
Well, I was a youth worker.
Okay.
And pretty much,
Is that the same as like an officer, correction
yes,
officer?
it's just
Okay.
like a correction officer, pretty much a babysitter.
Okay.
Pretty much it was 3 shifts. You had the first, second, and third shift. The first shift is the one that, we there before them kids or juveniles woke up in the morning,
Okay,
to
okay.
prepare our day. We woke them up. They did personal hygiene. We got them to breakfast, and during the week, we got them to school.
Okay.
And pretty much, that's all we did was pretty much got them from point A to point B.
Okay.
And if you know anything about Alcatraz, the way Alcatraz was a long time ago, the prisoners couldn't speak to each other.
Right.
They had no interaction with nobody. They couldn't even
Okay.
talk to the correction officer without getting permission. And that's pretty much how the juvenile detention center is.
Okay.
They can't speak to each other. They can't, they can't speak to you without getting permission. And pretty much the youth workers cannot carry on a conversation as for,
Like how you doing or anything like that?
Yeah, pretty much, because that showed that you are getting too much involved with the youth. And that bothered me because being an ex-military person, retired military person, I love that interaction. And, I wanted to get where they coming from. Why are you in here?
Right.
What are you going to do with your life? What is your future goals?
Okay, but as an officer or as a youth worker, your job responsibilities did not allow you
Right.
to do that.
Right.
Now, was anybody there that allowed them to do that besides the council? But you said they was only there.
Well, you had I can't remember what their titles were, but the ones that were over the youth workers, they can go in and interact with them.
Okay.
But pretty much they wasn't there with them 24/7.
I got you.
I
got you.
Being there and just sitting in a classroom while they do their work and you can't interact with them. I mean, you can go over there and tell them what to do.
Right.
But sometimes them kids, just like anybody else, they have bad days and have good days.
Right.
And if they're having a bad day, my thought would be you can go and say, yo, come here, talk to me. What's going on?
But you were not allowed to do that.
You wasn't allowed to do that because we were new.
Okay.
We were wet behind the ears and whatnot, but we was all adults at the same time.
Right.
We was we knew how to talk to people.
Now, from your perspective and from where you were, and even being new or whatever, how did you feel like they were being treated as children? I mean, even as juvenile offenders or whatever. How do you feel like they were being treated?
Well, the way they was treated to me was it wasn't inhumane or anything like that. They wasn't mistreated at all.
Okay.
Get that straight. It wasn't mistreated, but being locked down and you can't interact with people, that's kind of messing with your head.
Yeah, that's a mental thing.
I mean, it's a mental thing. And only time they can talk is when the counselors come in and interact, And we had to stick to the rules. We had to make sure they don't talk or they get written up,
Right.
And it was kind of crazy for me to be in that type of situation and going from the military into that, I believe in discipline. Don't get me
Right,
wrong.
right, right.
Kids need discipline.
Right.
But like I said in the beginning, you got to get to the root of the problem of why they're in there.
Right.
Why is it, it's a revolving door, in that place,
So now you were there for 6 months,
6 months.
basically, and because of that you saw, what did that do to you?
Oh, I mean, I was there for 6 months, and it came about, I used to hate to go to work because I knew what I had to come across. I knew that any time that, a kid can go off, for that mental thing, and me going in there and trying to do it my way, that wasn't gonna fly.
Right.
So that was frustrating me, and it came about in January. I came in there and I was coming on second shift, and they sent me to the classroom, and I started seeing double. My head was hurting, shortness of breath, and I had to call to the tower, not the tower, but to the control room and told them, y'all have to get somebody down here because I don't feel well at all. So they came and got me and went to the nurses, and they said, your blood pressure is 190 over 105. I was
Wow.
like, what?
Wow.
I was like,
Wow.
I'm about to die up in here.
Good Lord.
But
Man.
that was a wake-up call for me. I knew that my
That job,
personality,
right.
my personality didn't mesh with their type of way of running that place. And, it's just me. Maybe somebody else, maybe somebody was younger to come in and do that, it'd probably be different. But me, being who I am, I couldn't deal with it.
Okay, now you said even though it wasn't inhumane, what was the problem? I mean, that why you couldn't handle or couldn't deal with how you had to treat them if it wasn't inhumane? Was it just harsh and demanding and because you were ex-military?
Right. And I look at it as this: I've been in charge of many soldiers over my 20-year career, but they was adults.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
They was adults. I can handle adults. I can lock some soldiers' heels, and I can, put a soldier at parade rest. That's military term.
Right, I understand.
But as a child, a child is innocent, not
fragile.
innocent, but fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said in the beginning, their mind has not been matured yet.
Right.
And and it's hard to dominate a child and tell them to shut up and be quiet. You're gonna do this and that because I said so and stuff like that. Without explaining to them and also being nurturing to them. And they always used to say, well, they criminals, they murderers, and we had those type of juveniles in there.
Right.
But why was they that?
Right, but all of them wasn't that, though. Some of them was there because of not going to school,
not going
and
truancy,
running away from home, and
acting out at home, and the parents tell them they can't handle them, and they send them to juvenile. And it was crazy. I was like, I'll be looking, especially when they come in the intake, and I'm looking at their sheet. I'm like, boy, I would have been in here all the time.
Yeah, most of us would have been.
Yeah,
right.
And I was like, this is crazy. And so that was the reason why that it bothered me.
Okay. And I want to make sure that the people that are watching know that it wasn't, they didn't terminate you.
No.
You voluntarily left, and because of how you were feeling and what it was doing to your health, and because they were wanting you to be a kind of person that you were not.
Right.
And I like how you distinguished that, as far as if they had been adults, it would have been a little bit easier for you to do that. But because they were children, and because they had not yet been developed, and that is so true. They're juveniles. They have not yet been developed, and they make a lot of mistakes based on reasons behind it. Whether it's family stuff or whatever the case may be, somebody has to get to the root of it. But you take them to those places and you treat them very harsh. And I noticed even when I went there to visit, sometimes they have to come in with their hands, I think, behind their backs, looking straight ahead, raising their hand. I think even is it to scratch their head?
Yeah,
Or
they had to, get permission to do anything. They scratch the leg to even use the bathroom in their own cell. During the time during break between classes, they go back and they have to sit in their doorway, face ahead. They have to
face ahead, face away from the door,
face into their cell.
into their cell.
In
So
the
their
door.
back would be to the door.
Right, and the door would be open, but
Right.
they'd be right there in the
doorway.
doorway, right, in their chair, and their chair had to be a certain way, and it was like boot camp. Boot camp. That's what it was. It was just like basic training.
Wow.
But like I said before, they only kids.
Right.
Yeah, we got boot camp programs out there, and that's good to have that if it's discipline. If you're gonna be boot camp, be boot camp.
Right, right.
If you're not gonna be boot camp, don't be boot camp.
Okay, okay.
You got to distinguish between the two.
And I like that because everybody don't need the boot camp.
Exactly.
They got boot camps specifically for boot camp minded people.
Exactly.
And sometimes the juvenile detention center throws everybody in the same pile.
Same way.
And everybody don't need that
Exactly.
harsh discipline, and that's what you were seeing while you were there.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's the thing I guess that concerns me, because I'm watching a lot of these young people that go through the juvenile detention center, and when they get out, it seems like it didn't help them. They didn't learn anything, and they kind of get set up for the prison.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, sir, because I see, even though after years that I have been out, I see the juveniles that I was in charge with still.
Okay.
They out, and they come to me. How you doing, Mr. Jeter? How you doing, man? I really thank you for talking to me that day. Or,
Right.
man, I just appreciate. I mean, they telling me, sir, yes, sir, no, sir.
Wow.
And because that was the respect I had with them. Because, I always remember this by just growing up. You get respect by giving respect.
Right, right.
And these kids, they respected me because I was real.
Right.
And I wanted to know why was they there and why was they acting out.
And you showed some compassion,
Exactly.
some concern, some mercy. You showed all the characteristics of God, as a matter of fact, basically,
right.
and of somebody that they probably didn't have in their life.
Right.
And my whole thing is this, and maybe again it's mean, but when a person goes there, it seems like to me the last thing they need is some dictator type boot camp ran sergeant to hammer them down to nothing and to make them feel worse than they already feel.
Right. It's like I said before, some of those kids did need that type of program, but a lot of them didn't.
A lot of them didn't.
A lot of them didn't.
Okay.
And the ones that didn't got caught up under that.
Wow.
And like I said, they have a great program down there. They on a new management, or what to say, and I think it's going in a right direction right now.
Now, okay.
But before that time, there's a lot of things that I didn't agree with. Good or bad.
Right.
So that's why I had to leave.
Okay, and the thing about it is that, that's interesting too, how would you contribute your blood pressure problems to how much you had to fight back trying to help where you really couldn't help and you really wasn't supposed to help, but you wanted to, and you saw the need that was there, but you were unable to fulfill that need?
Yes, I contribute that instant when my blood pressure went up that day of that, because that was pretty much my hands was tied. I couldn't go in, and go against the rules and be fired, and go against that or getting written up, because anytime I was in my unit or anything like that, I never had problems.
Right.
Never had problems. Nobody acting out. No fighting. I had to take nobody down or anything. My day was smooth.
Right.
But sometimes when a kid needed to be talking to, or just to see where they're headed, or just to see where what their goal's gonna be,
Right.
we couldn't do it. We couldn't we couldn't just sit and talk to them kids and say, hey, I see that you got an A in algebra. You ever thought about going off to college and pursuing more than just
you couldn't do that.
I couldn't do that.
Wow. And that had to be a problem for a person with compassion, for a person that viewed them as children with potential.
Right.
You know, but to have them come in and just view them as criminals and treat them like criminals, like, you know, now being in prison is one thing because you get dogged out in prison. I mean, I spent 3 years there, so I know what it's like, and it's a dog eat dog kind of world. A lot of times the officers were just treated you like they just didn't care, like you were really less than a person. They treated their canine dogs better than they treated the inmates. So to be treated like that as an adult is harmful to your mind. And I can imagine as a child who has not yet been developed, what kind of treatment that would do to them. And that's the reason that I'm even having you here, because, you know, I'm just concerned. I'm wondering how much of that influences them to become criminals.
Right. You know, because they already seeing what, you know, the future holds for them. Right there. You know, you can't talk, you can't do this. And so they throwing their hands up and say, what's the use? You know, nobody is caring, you know. Nobody's caring. Nobody's caring about me, you know. And, you know, I hate to get into problems at home, you know, and problems at school, and nobody's caring about these kids, you know. You know,
that's a powerful thing. Just that little last part that you said right there. You take a 12 or 13 year old, 14-year-old kid that can't really function at home properly. School, they don't have enough time for them really, because they got too many students with one teacher or whatever, and so nobody is listening. And then they get hauled off to a juvenile detention center where the officers there treat them, you know, like they in the military or whatever. And like you just said, nobody cares. And if nobody is talking to them, who's getting answers? Who's getting any type of who's getting into their heads to find out what the problem is? Because once they go there and they get treated like that, and when their time is up, they go right back into that environment that they came out of. And if the counselors are only there for a little period of time, they got so many on their caseload. So they can't spend a whole lot of time with this one person. And I'm just wondering, and I'm just glad that you were at least there for a period of time, got an inside kind of scoop. And I like what you're saying about, you know, you're not saying they're being treated inhumane, but you felt like that they should have been shown more compassion.
Oh yeah, more compassion. You know, because the way it was in the beginning when it first opened, you know, they pretty much was more open and more lenient. And now it's more strict, but if they can just meet in the middle, I think it would make a lot of difference. You know, take what you did in the beginning when the place first opened, and take what you're doing now and just meet in the middle. I think, you know, it will help out for them kids. And just like you just was saying about teenage, I think that's a great program because it gives teenagers a place to hang out with other teenagers in a secure and loving environment. Because that's the key. That is the key. That is the key.
And I appreciate you saying that, because I'm taking these next few minutes to really emphasize that. You brought it up, so it gives me an opportunity to stay on. Teenage, again, is for every second and fourth Monday of the month, ages 13 to 19, and come in. We have pizza, cheeseburgers, cold drinks, Kool-Aid, whatever, and we have what's they call it, machine? I don't know, Xbox or whatever that is.
Wii,
and we got the Wii, and we got the Xbox too, and we teach you how to play chess, checkers, and we have group talk. We have adults that come in. We even had the chief of police that came in to talk. We had Winston Bennett come in and give an inspiration talk. We have awareness about AIDS and drugs and things to try to, you know, but it's all about fun and fellowship. And we try to help them, to give them somewhere to go to without getting in a lot of trouble. And I really want us to really think about our teenagers, and is the juvenile detention center really doing what it's supposed to do? Is it really helping to restructure them to keep them away from the penitentiary, or is it helping to lead them there? And I know that might be hard to swallow sometimes, but that's my concern. And I like how you said coming maybe meeting in the middle,
Meeting
you
in the
know,
middle.
because I understand rules and regulations. I understand teaching them discipline. I do understand that. But do you go so far with the discipline that you leave out the compassion?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And you know, it's like I said before, they do some great things down there. You know, they make sure they still going to school. You
Right,
know,
that's good.
physical activity. They still keeping them physically active and everything like that. You know, but it's something that
Missing.
yes, it's just something missing. To my opinion, it's something missing, or I would still be there. You know,
Right.
so I think it needs something. It needs something, and like I said before, those kids really need compassion, and in order to find out what the problem is, get to the meat of the problem.
Exactly.
Get to the meat.
And if
Get to the
nobody
meat.
is doing that, then you're leaving them wide open
Right.
to
Right.
to go basically around the same mountain
Exactly.
over and over again.
Exactly.
And I think I'm glad that you experienced it. I hate that your blood pressure went up so high that you had to end up leaving, but I'm glad that you at least experienced
Right,
that. And I'm
right.
hoping that whoever watches this program would maybe take another look. And I'm just going to do a shout out to anybody that might work in the criminal justice system right now, that might be in the juvenile detention center. If you're watching this program and you want to come on this program, maybe give your perception or your perspective on the juvenile detention center, feel free. Give me a call. 270-575-3823. Email me at lifecommunities@bellsouth.net, and we can talk. I can put you on the show and you can explain to me your take on it. I'm concerned. I'm wondering how much are we hurting and how much are we helping? And if we're not helping to keep them from the trouble, then are we helping to keep them in trouble? That's my concern. And I want to thank you. Thank
Oh,
you so
no
much.
problem, no
Thank you so
problem.
much for being here. I hate your blood pressure went up, but
Oh, well,
I'm glad you're
fine
better
now.
now. You're fine now. Got a better job. But I want to thank all of you for watching the program Life After Lockup. I appreciate that. It helps us out a lot. And if you need a tape or CD of any of our programs, please call any of the numbers or email us and let us know. Thank you so much again for watching, and you have a marvelous